morning. Happy Friday, and thanks for joining me again for a cuppa, well, a cup of whatever you love. For me, it's a good cup of coffee this morning with a little foamy creamer. Today we're talking about authentically you. Do you have trouble being authentically you? Have you ever thought about this? I have to say that expressing the authentic me has been a lifelong struggle. I was an exuberant child. I was born to parents and a mother who appreciated the quiet, the calm, and the peace and I wanted to dance, right? To sing, to perform, to tell everybody every detail of everything I knew. I wanted to talk about every wonderful thing I had discovered that day, but this was unacceptable in a well-behaved child, right? And I'm clever, so I learned to start hiding the parts of myself that didn't fit in with the expectations, anything that had consequence this time, right? I learned to stuff parts of me down that were not going to get the responses I was looking for. Now, it's taken a lifetime, and I'm 62. I know. I look good. Good genes, baby. Anyway, taken a lifetime to rediscover all the parts of me that I had squashed down, that I felt like I had to hide to be loved. So that's why we're talking about authenticity, because it really means something to me. I've done all the things I'm recommending for you today, and they helped. So let's get into it, right? Being authentic means that you act in ways that show your true self and how you feel. Rather than showing people only a particular side of yourself, you express your whole self genuinely. And that means to succeed in being authentic, you first have to know who your true self is, right? Now, lots of benefits of being authentic. Trust and respect. When you're true to yourself, well, you not only trust your own judgments and decisions that you make, but you trust your relationships with others, right? You stand by your values. You're living in integrity. Never walking back what you say. That's being authentic, right? And we are so much more than just our mistakes. So much more than just our bodies. So much more than just our thoughts, right? We are beautiful, creative, loving, physical and yet spiritual, constantly evolving and changing, magical beings. And you can find your power. You can find your authentic self in self-love. So we've danced around it, right? We've talked about self-care and all the things that go with self-love, but being your authentic self is nothing more than truly loving yourself. We are our own worst critics, right? Sometimes we're so mean to ourselves. We question, we doubt ourselves. We criticize, we judge. We are much meaner to ourselves than we are to other people. Did you ever notice that? We are much tougher on ourselves, and we say things to ourselves that we would never in a million years think of saying to a dear friend. So the truth is that you need to learn to be friends with yourself. It's a lifetime friendship. And if you aren't friends with yourself, what happens? You're basically in solitary confinement, right? If you don't like being with yourself, man, you can't get away from yourself. So it's a friendship. And like any friendship, it requires work. It doesn't just happen, right? We spend so much time thinking about what others are seeing, what others are thinking about us, what others see, how others see us, how they're judging us. Sometimes we see ourselves as the ugly duckling. We see ourselves, everyone else around us is doing so much, so good. They all got their faces on, and we can't compete. We feel like the ugly duckling, right? Doesn't mean that we don't have a critical part. Doesn't mean that it's not. Doesn't mean you have to not have a critical part. But instead of letting that critical part control you, instead of cowering under those critical statements, have a dialogue. This is a friendship. Have a dialogue with that voice. Help them remember, that's not all of me. There's more than this. Speak our truths. Accept our realities. Accepting ourselves as we are. Understanding ourselves. loving ourselves exactly as we are right this minute. That's the goal, right? My mom used to say, guts, feathers, and all. We're going to love it, guts, feathers, and all. Because the more we love the whole of ourselves, the more we can be ourselves, right? Try accepting yourself just as you are. Don't give a damn about what they say. This is about courage. This is about how much courage do you have to express the more quirky and exotic pieces of you. The pieces of you that maybe not everyone will love. Right? How much courage do you have to show those exotic elements, or are you terrified of that? Right? We wish everyone could accept us, or that we didn't. And I kind of wish sometimes I didn't crave those feelings of acceptance. Because let's face it, we do. We can talk about we don't care what other people think, but how many times do you look at your Facebook likes all day? Who liked me? Who liked my post? Who liked my comment? Right? Becoming what everyone else expects of you, or what others think you should be, is not giving the world the greatest gift that there is, which is you, which is what you expect you to be, which is 100% of you in all of your spectacular, funny, quirky, messy, maybe sometimes not perfect self. Right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's right. We're gonna love it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Because learning to love it all means not just loving the good. You know, it's easy to express our positiveness. If you don't find a way to express your uniqueness, you are robbing the world of the one and only chance to see what you bring. There's no one else like you. No one else is going to get up today and put into the world what you're going to put into the world. And when you hide that light, or when you shield it, or when you mask it to please the crowd, we're not getting that gift, right? When you start to belong to yourself, when you live your own life, you develop compassion for those around you. This is the goal. The goal here is to live your life in a way that is very clear to everyone around you exactly what you value. That's the secret, right? Put your values out there. Let everybody know what you think. It's hard. It's not an easy task, right? Being authentic means loving yourself enough, trusting yourself enough to be who you are. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. So we're going to learn to love ourselves, be good to ourselves. Start with your own self-worth, right? Sometimes when you're your authentic self, it's really, other people may not like it. You may disappoint other people. You make decisions based on what's good for you. You may disappoint or even anger those around you. This is such a powerful force. Such a powerful force, the force of what others think, or what we, the thoughts we hold in our head about what others think. It's such a powerful force that sometimes we'll do things, or we won't do things, to avoid its wrath, or to stay in the happy light of those around us, right? But, and this is the secret, there is magic in simply being okay with other people's unhappiness. I know, for you people pleasers out there, you grew up making sure everybody was happy around you and being what everybody, your little chameleon act, being what everybody wants you to be. There is magic in simply being okay with other people's unhappiness. Sounds simple, right? There's power in stepping back and simply allowing them to express their authentic selves, right? Without you having to make an adjustment. The truth is, once you start practicing this, once you can live your truth, see the uncomfortableness around you, feel that awkward place where you want to step in and change what you said because you want everybody to like you, right? Once you can just live through that moment, you realize you lived through the moment. Most of the time, nothing happens. Most of the time, people go, shrug and move on. A lot of the times, you have inflated the importance of your own actions in other people's minds to the point that you're letting them control you when they're not thinking about you, right? And if they are, well, then they have to learn to live with their own thoughts and be their own best friend too. For me, once this initial feeling was over, once I realized that what had seemed like it was going to be the most unacceptable moment to me, what had seemed I was so afraid of, so sure was just going to consume me in unhappiness, once I lived through that moment, and the moment passed, and that awkwardness passed, and everybody kind of moves on, I found that thing that I thought I was unable to bear was actually that thing that made me feel better. Made me feel lighter, truer to myself, proud of myself. And each time I choose myself, I feel more of this, right? I feel more proud and more happy and less worried about what others think. What others thought or said become less and less important to me as I stand in my own truths, because now I say, I know my value. I know what I value. I want to make that clear to everyone around me, and that's who I am. When you can do that, everything else, just a situation, right? So, the 4 steps to an authentic you. Hold on one second. Again, technology trouble. This is bad preparation. Oh, and I can't do it. Okay, well, we're going to live with this the best we can, right? Know yourself. So, number 1, you're going to list your strengths and your weaknesses, right? The number 1 thing about being authentically you, how can you be authentically you if you don't know who you are, right? You know who you are, but sometimes thoughts and ideas and emotions are just miasma. They're just floating around in emotion, right? In ether. And when we take them and put them into concrete thoughts and write them down, we give them power. And it helps us know ourselves. So we're going to make a list of both your again, good, bad, and the ugly, right? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are you going to lead with? What do you want to protect? Some people are good problem solvers, others are good listeners. What's the strength you bring to the table that you're going to put into effect in a moment of need, right? Research shows that knowing and using our top strengths makes us feel authentic. It gives us a sense of fulfillment and connected to passion, even flow, right? So when you know yourself, you're getting in touch with your core values. Right? Now, what are my core values? We have an internal warning system, right? This is anytime we step outside those values, right? You know this. Anytime we step outside of your values or your boundaries or your kind of your rules for yourself, where you want to live, who you want to be, there's a little internal warning system that goes off, right? It's called guilt, shame, anger. Emotions are the smoking guns to let us know what's going on inside, right? So be aware. Don't hide from those feelings. We're not going to squash them down. Pull them up, examine them. What are they? Maybe you're carrying some resentment. Maybe you got some anger. That's okay. You're going to work on it, but right now you just know that it's there, and I'm going to protect myself from it. I'm going to protect myself from allowing that anger to hijack my response or take over and make me say something I don't want to. But I'm aware of it, so I can manage it, right? Now, pro tip. Here's my pro tip. It's about guilt. This is my lifelong advice about guilt. Simple dimple. If you're going to do something that you know you're going to feel guilty about it, you need to make a decision. Don't do it, or be okay with doing it and don't feel guilty about it. But doing it and then feeling guilty about it, that is simply self-flagellation. That is something that some of us who are really hard on ourselves, when we're looking for things to beat ourselves up about, that's one way we do it. So if you're going to do it, make up your mind, I'm going to do that and here why, and I'm going to be okay with it. Or my guilt, my internal warning system, my smoke signals coming up telling me I'm not going to be happy with myself if I do this, so I'm not going to do it. Anyway. Okay, next, acknowledge any parts of you that are based on expectations. Start looking at what are you doing because you were pleasing someone, your parents, your coworkers, your friends, your peers, society. We all want to be liked. We all send our representative, right? I call this the front of the house guy. This is the guy who is taking care of things where the public can see him, not the back of the house, right? The guy who steps in front of the curtain. The guy who answers the door and closes it behind you. So you just see what we want you to see. The one who only shows the acceptable part of you. And by acceptable, I mean acceptable to those around you, not acceptable to yourself. That's our representative. We want to let go of the ought tos, right? I ought to do this. Focus on what you truly desire. Being clear on how we want to be. Okay, here's another tip. Being really clear on how you want to be remembered releases you from the oughts and helps to guide your decision making during the day. Helps us focus on only being true to ourselves. Right? So, then we got after that. And the last thing is, the tree of life. Not all branches are equal. Being your authentic self doesn't mean you have to share your deep, dark secrets with strangers, right? You get to have levels of relationship, levels of intimacy, levels of sharing that is still perfectly okay. You don't have to share with everyone in exactly the same way, and you're not being inauthentic if you are adapting to situations, right? We're simply performing our part in the play. We play many characters. Just make sure that they all embody the core values that you do. So, let's see, as we finish this up, we're talking about our authentic self, and so we go to the quote board, which says, when you're authentic, you create a certain energy. People want to be around you because you're unique. Only one of you. Find that uniqueness and let it shine. Again, thank you. I'm going to put on the glasses. There's a vitality of life force. There's a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that's translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and will be lost. Martha Graham. I believe she's also one that said you don't have the right to decide if your art is worthy. Your job is to put it out there. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within you that you've built against it. Being an authentic self. Hard to love yourself when you're not open to love all the way around, right? Find the courage to be authentic. Not everyone will like you, but no one can if they don't truly get a chance to know you. Leo Droscher. We want to know you, the real you, the beautiful, fantastic, only you. The reward for conformity. I want you to listen to this very carefully. I've never prized conformity, but sometimes we give in to that, right? The reward for conformity was that everyone liked you, except yourself. Rita Mae Brown. Ha ha ha, true, true, true. What makes you vulnerable makes you beautiful. There's a word for that. It's authentic. Tim Brown. If you are your authentic self, then you have no competition. half of our trouble, comparing ourselves to others, right? Making up trouble that doesn't exist. If you're your authentic sis, you're competing with no one. There's no one to compare you to. When you show up authentic, you create the space for others to do the same. Walk in your truth. So, that's our Friday show. Authentic self. I'm going to have announcements on Monday. Monday. I'll be announcing the title of this show as we formalize it and move to YouTube. We'll still be on Facebook Live, of course, but maybe on YouTube as well. So, great things coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, and make it a happy day.